All right, welcome back to the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur Shift the Culture podcast. And I am extremely excited for this episode. I'm joined by my brother Jay Isaacs. Welcome back,
Good
my
afternoon,
brother.
everybody.
We missed you last week. You was in here.
I was hiding.
Yeah, I see that. But I am excited because, as you all may know, or someone that may live in Timbuktu or under a rock somewhere, one of the biggest movies of all time came out last weekend, which is Black Panther. And I saw some, look at you now, look at you, representing for your people.
I'm ready.
Wakanda
forever.
Let me see your lip.
No, you don't got to see all that.
All right, then. So you ain't no damn Wakanda. Yeah. They don't like your, Wakandans don't like y'all niggas who ain't from there. But I saw I heard of some negative feedback as it relates to payment for the movie. As you know, it broke records over the weekend. I think over the 4-day weekend, it took in over $400 million worldwide, if I'm not mistaken.
It did, 404 million.
And people hear those. You're right, and they hear those numbers, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, that's amazing!" They thinking Chadwick Boseman must have made $20-30 million or something like that. But now, again, and as I told Keith earlier, we live in an era. It's a beautiful time because we have so much information, but it's also a terrible time because we have so much information, and because with so much information, you have so much false information. So it's been difficult for me to get a lockdown on the exact number. But I think I saw some numbers that maybe
it's under $1 million. He got like $900 and something thousand for Black Panther, the movie. He got a little bit less for the film.
Well, I have
the Captain America Civil War film.
Well, let me call the numbers off right here. What I have, and like I say, don't quote me as these being official numbers, because there's so much. But these look like the most official. And for Chadwick Boseman, his breakdown is for Black Panther, he got $874,126. Civil War was $710,227. Gods of Egypt was $541,000. Message from a King $405,000 plus. Get On Up $346,000 plus, and Draft Day $315,000 plus. So they broke down all of his major movies that he was in, the salaries for him. Like I said, not sure if it's official, but it seems to be the most official number that I found. But let me read what someone on Facebook shared and the feedback that I've been hearing from people, which is, Chadwick Boseman is being taken advantage of. He's being robbed. He isn't getting paid enough. Because like I said, when people hear $400 million, they're thinking, hey, the star got to at least be making a decent percentage of that. But that's not how, the business works.
Not all contracts are set up like for percentages.
Right. And the post said, look at Chadwick Boseman's salary for Black Panther. Pay my guy like you paid Robert Downey Jr. for Iron Man and the rest of the Marvel characters for their respective roles within various movies. Now, this is where information is important, right, Jay? Because that person said, pay my guy like you paid Robert Downey Jr. Now, if we're being fair, Robert Downey Jr., for his solo movie, his first Iron Man movie, was paid a reported $500,000. So, person that made this post, Chadwick Boseman was actually paid more than Robert Downey Jr. for his first movie. So,
I don't know if that is that's what the number is officially.
That's what the number is. And here's why, and I'll explain exactly why it is. Because remember, Iron Man was the first big movie in the Marvel Universe. However, they had no idea how the movie was going to do. And they also caught Robert Downey Jr. in his worst time. He was in a downtime.
Yes. And
all of the bad stuff. So he was a low point. And plus, it was a major gamble for the studio. Remember now, this universe wasn't established. Iron Man.
He just started. Yeah.
So for that movie, he was paid a reported $500,000. So Chadwick Boseman actually made more than Robert Downey Jr. made in his first, because this is Chadwick Boseman's first solo movie in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, he only made an appearance in Civil War.
And even in the appearance in Civil War, he made more than Robert Downey Jr. made for Iron Man, over $200,000 more. So a lot of people don't put things in perspective. What they are seeing is they see what Robert Downey Jr. is making now, which is he makes about $50 million for these films now. but they want to compare what he's making now to what Chadwick Boseman is making now, which is a completely unfair comparison. Because how many movies has Iron Man been in to this point?
He's been in I think all the Marvel Universe movies thus far. So maybe 6 to
He just
date.
hasn't been in like the Thor movies, like stuff like that. But he's been in multiple movies, and like I said earlier, he established this universe with Iron Man. So you can't compare what Robert Downey Jr. is getting paid now, or even what he was getting paid after 5 films, to what Chadwick is getting paid now.
You know why? I think I know what they're trying to do or trying to say, and it's a big problem in film. While Downey Jr. did have his issues, and they caught him on a rebound after the drug abuse. I think he did a stint in prison after a while, and he was pretty much on the outskirts. So this was a second chance for him. So yes, they took a gamble. He was desperate for a second chance, and that's exactly what happened. Cinderella story, right? But after that film, the huge success, then the MCU pretty much was born, and not to say ridiculous contracts were being given out, but they actually had more of a formula of what they could pay to actors. So if they said, you know what, for everybody in the MCU that has a solo film, right? So let's say we're 10 years removed from Iron Man. Now he should be at least at a minimum of at least 1.5 to 2 million. And if you look at the entire cast of Black Panther, they're under that. They're well under that. And it's because Black under the million mark for what as compared to their white actors and actresses.
I think Michael B got about 1 million. The numbers I've seen for Lupita are kind of up and down, but some have her over 1 million and some have her under. So it's kind of up and down, but she's dancing around that 1 million as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Robert Downey Jr., well, the topic is privilege versus leverage. And like you just explained, he was in a position, and Anton Thompson here says he's been in eight movies thus far. So, but like we said, when they caught him for Iron Man 1, it was a privilege at that time for him to be an Iron Man, playing Iron Man. He was in a position of privilege. He was privileged to have the role, and I think he recognized that, which is why he took the $500,000, because he had a long resume even before that. Robert Downey Jr. has been in for a long time.
Yeah, he has.
So I'm sure $500,000 at that time to him was a low number, but he recognized the position he was in at the time, and you understand?
It was his second chance.
Right, and he saw that, and which is why he was able to cash in, because the reported numbers I saw for Iron Man 2 was it went from that 500,000 to 10 million, which is a very significant jump. But you have to prove yourself. So like Chadwick Boseman will now have a lot more leverage after this past weekend and after this movie has been such a huge success. Now he has the leverage. I don't know what kind of deal he signed. I heard he signed a multi-movie deal, so he may be already locked in at a certain salary for like Infinity War and whatever movies they locked him in for. But that's knowing your position. You have to know where you are at the time, because like I said, a lot of people who don't know better, they saying, oh, that's low, and a lot of people probably wouldn't have taken it. But Chadwick recognized that was a position of privilege. He was privileged to play Black Panther, and he recognized the significance of not only the role, but the movie. And he knew that he would get his money later on.
Yeah, sometimes you have to take a chance on yourself and take advantage of opportunities like that, because not only is it going to position his career for him to rake in like a Will Smith and other big Black actors like Denzel Washington, like what they did early on in their career, but it actually will help other actors behind him to kind of, for studios to take a chance on all Black cast and seeing how successful this was and other movies before it was.
And let's go to another case. Let's look at someone now. These are good examples. I think these are good examples of people that recognize when they were in a position of privilege and in a position of leverage, right? Which was Robert Downey Jr. and Chadwick both taking low numbers early on because they were looking at the bigger picture. Now let's look at some people that tried to cash in, that thought they were in a position of leverage, but were not. Your take on the whole Monique Netflix situation. Well, go ahead. Sorry, let me let you explain how you feel about it first.
One, I understand where she's coming from, and I think there's a pay disparity amongst women and men, and then black versus white. I think she did deserve a bit more, but I think she went about it the wrong way. I think for me, as someone in the creative community, I think she should have looked at her representation and the people that are negotiating on her behalf that could have gone to war to get a lot more. You know what I mean? I don't think she has a right to compare herself to like the Chappelles or whatever. I understand she has an Oscar, but it wasn't for a comedic performance.
And this is what I was about to ask you just now. You said you feel like she deserves more. Based on what? Because let's be real. This was, if I'm not mistaken, you correct me if I'm wrong. I'm thinking this was for a stand-up special.
Right.
Can you name a Monique stand-up special?
I can't name a Monique stand-up special, but I've seen her do stand-up on television before. I know she has the chops to do it. And also she, as she pointed out, if you watch her Sway interview, she does have fan bases in pockets that has millions and millions of people that would watch a special. So she does have a... No, but I mean, it's realistic. I mean, the world is... No.
Can she provide these numbers?
I'm sure she could. She read a letter begging, I think the Warner Group was one of her contracts to make her available for a media tour in a few places in India because of people were requesting her and they wanted to make sure that it wasn't inconvenience of scheduling. So she provided some level of proof. How deep it is, I don't know. But at the end of the day, especially with entertainment, we have to understand that an audience is way bigger than what we think or what we perceive. So in Netflix's, not in their defense, but Netflix has to understand that it's bigger than the California or US market or whatever. She's big in other parts of the world where you have subscribers that would pay to see. So she'll have the same numbers as a Chris Rock, as a Chappelle. But the boycott, I couldn't get down with it. Because I don't want Netflix anyway.
Me neither. But you got to understand, while she may be big in those markets may not be Netflix's focus. You understand? You come in Netflix. You can't bring this market that we don't care that much for and say, well, hey, I'm big over here. Well, we don't care about that market that you're big into. You don't understand? We care about this particular market. So you bring that information means nothing to us at the time. We don't know you for stand-up. We're pretty sure you're a good comedian. We know you're an outstanding actress, but this is for a stand-up special. And if no one can really name any one of your stand-up specials, I mean, then what are we really paying for? If it's for stand-up.
I mean, I get that. However, I still think from body of work and the explanation that, and this is purely on her side of what she said, based on what he was saying, based on the fact that she was looking at the Amy Schumer and all these other people, she could have gotten a bit more. And I think it just plays more to the narrative of the wide gap that exists between actors of color and then actresses of color and how they get treated and other minorities, I might add, versus the white actor and the white actress. So where the white actress is, quote unquote, struggling with the pay difference, there's a way bigger gap between the people of color on both genders. And that's a real thing that they need to address.
I see. Okay, I get it to a certain degree. And I'm not saying, and listen, I'm not saying that Monique didn't deserve more, you know.
I would take 500,000.
Again, but this is what the whole topic is: recognizing whether it's a privilege or you have a position of leverage. And I think, my opinion, I think she miscalculated the amount of leverage that she, you know, thought she had at the time. I thought she felt like she went in with a lot more leverage than Netflix was willing to recognize at that time, because, you know, the Netflix, they're like, look, this is a privilege. You know, we want you to do this. You're going to be in front of this amount of people. It's going to get you a bigger profile, but just stand up on another level. You know what I mean? So if you look at it from that standpoint, like me and you, we may see that as a position of privilege to be, you know, have that offer from Netflix and, you know, understand that, you know, hey, okay, I may be worth more than this in my head, but the macro picture, looking at the bigger picture, this could get me a lot more exposure. Maybe I could do a big tour after this because of the Netflix special and get the money that I didn't get from Netflix. And I think
look at it as a stepping stone to say, okay, well, guess what? We could take this for a one-time deal, and then we're going to look to expand this or revisit this number for the next person. Because don't forget, Dave Chappelle started off with 2. Now he's on his other 2. You understand? So it's 4 specials up. I think Chris Rock just did the first 2 from a deal in 2014 or 2015. So it's not like, I mean, they're giving away this money. It's like candy right now.
Yeah, and like I said, I just think that was a miscalculation. And like I was about to say, listen, I'm not telling anybody what to ask for. You understand? Whatever you feel you're worth, that's up to you. You could ask for whatever you want to ask for. She could ask for 40 million. That's up to her. However, that's my whole point. I say all the time, listen, you could put any price on an item you're selling. Whatever you do, if you're selling an album, if you're selling artwork, if you're selling a vehicle, you could price it at whatever you want to price it for. That don't mean that somebody can pay for it. There's a difference between what you see yourself as, like the value you see in yourself or what you see yourself being worth, and what the people in the market are willing to pay for it. There's a huge difference. And I saw an episode of $1 Billion Buyer. I don't know if you watch it, but it's a great show. $1 Billion Buyer, there was this man that he does this amazing like glass artwork. And it's this huge pieces. Man, it's incredible what he does. Like, and what I'm saying, the work is amazing. However, they are very high priced. And while they may be well worth it, it may be worth that price. What Tillman was trying to explain to him was, listen, these things are beautiful, sure, but they all sitting up inside your showroom. Ain't nobody buying them. So you have them outpriced. You have outpriced yourself. You understand? And he wasn't, the person making the work wasn't willing to come down. His wife was trying to convince him. He was not coming down on his price. And sometimes some people are willing to go down with their price, and that's fine. That's fine. You know what I mean? But that's up to you. It's up to you. You can set your price, but that doesn't mean someone has to pay it.
Exactly. Now the artwork catching does have no chance of appreciation. It's actually sad. That's really sad.
Yeah, but that's the importance of, like I said, knowing your position, knowing how much you are worth to the market as opposed to yourself. You know what I mean? And that could be tough for people at times. You know what I mean? Sometimes you feel, I sure you have stuff that you had at a certain price and you didn't want to move up your price. Have you been forced to go down on a price of something that you didn't want to go down on?
I don't think I've ever been in that position, because I've always taken the time to properly appreciate or praise my value. I always take a step back. I look at the market, and sometimes, like that guy, who refuses to go down, sometimes you have to and hold your ground so you can attract a certain type of clientele. But you can't just sit there and hope that they come to you. You have to figure out an avenue to get it in their eyes, within their eye shot. And I think maybe like Jamal Roll, Alan, and Stephen, they're good at it because they go out there, make sure that they're networking and they're doing this great work. So when the people come along and they want to buy or want to commission them for a piece, they get the type of clientele that they want. Because you know what I mean? So sometimes you could sit on that high price, but you have to be able to go out there and do the work and network and get the type of clients that you want.
And let's wrap up on this to help the people figure it out, right? You said you appraise yourself. How do you go about appraising oneself? Because I'm sure that could be an extremely difficult thing to do. What are the steps you take to appraise yourself, to give yourself a fair value in the market? Or could I price it?
Okay, well, I always look at what my international by peers are doing, right? I investigate their prices. I see what the level of their quality of their work is. I compare my quality of work to theirs, and then I scale it down to this Bahamian market. Not so much, but because I know my people. I know my people are going to pay X amount. So I think for me. Outside of people like Belinda Wells and Sherrod, I think I was one of the first. I was a part of one of the first groups of photographers to do the 175 hourly rate, or what's not, which seemed absurd because so many young photographers are undercutting. But it was what the standard was, and the style of photography had moved from the packages in the studios to more outdoor portraits, single sessions, individualized photography, you know? So, I mean, you have to take the time to look around what's going on around you with your peers in the international market and what your peers are doing here. And you have to be real with yourself to say what level you're on. A lot of people overinflate their value, overinflate their standing, but you have to be honest with yourself. That's the only way you're going to grow from the products that you spit out and as a business.
Mm-hmm. And you spoke about undercutting.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about undercutting. What like has it made you make adjustments to your pricing because people are like coming in so low that you had to make adjustments so that you could continue to get consistent work?
I just changed my approach. I think because of the undercutting and the oversaturation of photographers, I went more into film and TV production where the market wasn't as heavy at the time. So I kind of made a name for myself there. And then I just focused on a certain type of client. I did a lot more commercial work, commercial photography work, event photography work, and investigative journalism work. But I didn't cut my prices. What I would do, I would stick to my price or go a bit above, and then I giving away free advice, but then I would take back a bit of a discount to make the customer feel that they were getting some sort of savings. But it was right at the price that I was comfortable with giving them, and they felt that they were getting a deal, so I won.
Awesome. All right, let me wrap up on a point to have perspective, right? And I hear people use this position a lot, but it's not completely fair. But I understand why they say it, and it's an argument that the new age of feminists use as well. Well, this person deserves to get paid the same amount for doing the same job, right? And I hear you. However, do you think that, let's say, the forward that plays for the Milwaukee Bucks deserves the same amount of money as LeBron James? They both play the same position, but do you think they would deserve to be paid the same?
No, definitely not. I think everything is on an individual to individual basis, based on skill, based on IQ, based on final product and experience. Results. The same position, exactly. The same position doesn't mean a still squat.
But you hear people use that argument all the time, and it's like, no. Oh well, and I saw it, like I said, with the Chadwick Boseman. Okay, he has a star movie in Marvel. This guy has a star movie in Marvel. They should get paid the same. Like that's the logic that people tend to use. Or well, this person has this customer service rep at this store, and I'm a customer service rep at this store. Then I should get paid the same thing. And I hear this argument all the time, but that's not really the case. It's not fair. It's not really how reality works. It's not how the market works. Right. If I have two people at the same position, but one person gets better results and is clearly better than the other person at the position, then should I then pay you two the same just because you all have the same position? I mean, how fair is that? If the person is bringing in better results and they have more experience, they were here longer, you know what I mean? So take these things into consideration when you are looking or trying to compare value or payment for certain services. You have to take all of these things into consideration and not just jump to, oh, well, this is unfair or somebody is being robbed or being done dirty, because that's not always the case.
Everybody wants to be a champion for something, not realizing how things go. And in the case of Chadwick Boseman, there is a case for him because he's done enough influential film to have his pay raised to a certain amount. And again, that comes with representation, and having the best people negotiate on your behalf. Maybe his team isn't as equipped to get the bigger checks or to get, because for me, after how many people were hyped and talking about my role in Captain America: Civil War, I'd have had my people go to the table and say, "Listen, I'm willing to take a percentage gamble on this movie. Give me 2% and waive my pay."
But see, the thing is, you ain't
what I mean?
Yeah, but Jay, you ain't in a position of leverage at that time, especially if you already signed on for this multi-movie deal. You already locked in, buddy.
But in film and in television, even though you're locked in for a major deal, there is a certain leverage that he has. I'm sure there are certain clauses and what's not. There's always room for negotiation because you're looking at a larger view. If they sign him for multi-deals, I know he's going to be in Infinity War and the other version of Infinity War. But there's a Black Panther 2. There's probably a Black Panther 3. So you want to cash in on those solo films after everything has been,
Right. If he isn't contractually obligated to those movies as yet, that's when the big payoff or the big cash in or the renegotiation comes into place. That is when you move from this position of being a privilege to do the movie to now having the leverage to negotiate what you really feel you deserve or work for the movie. And
now you got Black Twitter on your side now.
Oh jeez, I can't stand no Black Twitter anyhow. I don't like. See me. I don't like extremists on either end. You know what I mean? I don't like extremism. You understand? People that run right out, especially these days, and especially in this era where people are sensitive about everything. People have an issue with everything. These keyboard warriors, these armchair slacktivists who stay home on their keyboard and just type all the time, is getting sickening to where I'm not even on social media as much, not nearly as much as I used to be. I'm kind of almost weaning myself off completely because it's just becoming a waste of time in a lot of instances, and it's just people being ridiculous now and just doing it just for doing its sake. You know what I mean? There's no real purpose in it. There's no real purpose. So I don't really check for it. I try to be as fair as possible. I try to, I'm nuanced. I take everything into consideration. Like I said, that guy said, "Oh, pay Chadwick the same you paid Robert Downey Jr." Well, as we look, if we put it in fair context, he got paid more than Robert Downey Jr. got paid. For their first movie, he got paid more. Even for a special guest appearance in Civil War, he was paid more than Robert Downey Jr. was paid for Iron Man. So let's be fair, people. Let's take all of these things into consideration. And then you go to the negotiation table with as much information. You're armed with the information, and you can, negotiate accordingly. Like I said, you can price yourself to whatever you want to price it to. That don't mean they have to pay it. So just be cautious when negotiating prices and when valuing yourself, to not sell yourself short, and always keep the big picture in mind so that you don't overprice yourself and you miss out on a golden opportunity that could have brought in a lot of revenue for you in the long run. So just be mindful of that. Yeah. All right, Jay, if you got anything else to say, you got anything else? You good?
Wakanda forever.
I know about that, but my next show I can talk about that. We can talk about Black Panther and this Wakanda thing, because like I say, if you ain't from Wakanda, they ain't on your run, buddy. I can't say no Wakanda forever. Wakanda.
I think next conversation we should have is the way that we supported Black Panther is the same level of enthusiasm we did to support Black business, and understand the actual storyline and the message behind Black Panther. I think a lot of people went there in the hype of, for the culture, Black people representation, but they didn't even. I think they missed a lot of the messages in there.
Yep, for sure.
And it was pops.
Yes, as we can see, over 400 million worldwide. so we're gonna discuss that on Under the Rug a little bit. We can get into which Black Lives Matter. We can get into all kind of stuff. So I don't know. I can see it's supposed to be me, Uncle, and Chrissy. But if I can't reach Chrissy, I may have to hit you up, and we can have a discussion. But thanks again, Jay. Appreciate it as always. Great contributions. And we're gonna wrap this show up the way we wrap up every show with: losers make excuses, winners make adjustments. Stop making excuses, make the necessary adjustments, and know your worth, know your value, but also keep the big picture in mind so that you don't underprice or overprice yourself. Be aware of the market, be aware of your position in the market and what people perceive your worth as, and then you negotiate accordingly. So with that, we'll wrap it up. Thanks again, Jay. Until next time, peace.